Hi there! I have another book review to share with you. But before we enter the book review part of the video, let's talk a, just a bit about book discovery. Because I know that many people are leaving their book discovery to algorithms, as in also bots in Amazon and things like that. And I think that is who, who trusts software anyway? I'm a software developer, and I'll tell you, I don't trust recommendation algorithms. I don't like them. They take out the human element out of the curation. And that's what BookTube brings back into this ecosystem. It brings back human curation. So one way that we can counterbalance this algorithmic discovery is by reviewing books that we love and sharing them with the world. The more we do that, I think that the best it is for everyone. I know that many people seeing my video are also on BookTube, so this will not be new for them, but if you just stumbled by and you are wondering why would someone review a book that someone else has already reviewed, it's not only because you have your own unique takes on it, but also because you reinforce that that book has quality and that the book deserves to be read. So if you love a book and you think that, well, too many people already talked about it, do it as well. Go for it. Put your own spin on the review. We will all be happier because you did it. And the book I have to share with you all today is the first book that I discovered through BookTube. I had other books that I bought after seeing reviews on BookTube, but those were books that I already knew about. They were not new books. I was kind of aware of them, and I used BookTube to check if what people were saying about them. But this was a genuine discovery. I knew nothing about this book until I stumbled on a review from Elliot Brooks from AB Novels channel, and it's The Ninth Reign by Jen Williams. It's part of the Winnowing Flame trilogy, and this is wonderful. So if you want to move on to another video, this is it. Wonderful book, go grab it. Now, if you're not aware on how I do reviews, I will touch three different areas. I will talk about what I liked on this book, what I would like to see more, and what are my next steps. I don't do star reviews, I don't do weighted reviews, I don't put numbers into things, and I don't do criticism, because it's very easy to find problems in any book. There is no book free of problems, because like any creative effort or any effort at all, if you want to talk bad about something, you will find something to complain about. And that's not what I'm excited about, because what sells a book forward, what makes people care about a book, is when we talk about the book from a position of love. You will never, or very seldom, decide to read a book because of someone complains about the book, unless you're into like controversial stuff. But this is it. So I try to make my reviews from standpoint of a fan and from a point of view of love. So I'm basically reviewing books I love, and I love this book. I really do. It's I would say it's between a high fantasy and a weird fantasy. I would say high fantasy first because lots of the elements in that book are instantly recognizable from a distance. It's when you go close to it and you start observing it that you notice that it's weird, it's not exactly what you thought it was going to be. So you have these characters that look like and kind of behave like high elves. But when you look closer, they are kind of vampires. that have a tree god. And you have these witches that can cast like fireballs and stuff. But their fire comes from consuming the life energy of what's around them. So it's this like packaging of recognizable things, but with a twist. And that's the first thing I want to talk about, the world building. But to fully appreciate that, I would just do a spoiler-free brief blurb about the book. We are following three main characters: Thor, which you can think as a high elf with a fashion sense that drinks blood, and if he doesn't, he'll die. But not because he's a vampire. Don't think of him as a vampire. It's something different. It's not an elf. It's not a vampire. It's something else. You have Noon, which is a witch, like a fire casting person that was imprisoned and escaped, and to cast those fire flames things, she consumes the energy of those around her. And you have Vin, which Vintage. Sorry, I said Vin. It's like Mistborn. No, Vintage. Late Vincenza de Grazon, who's this like lesbian Indiana Jones, and my favorite character. And this is the party, and they go on a quest. It's wonderful, delightful, because their world has this situation, cyclical situation that happens now and again, where they are invaded by this hostile force. And these elves are basically what defeats these forces every time. But now, for some reason that I won't spoil, the elves are basically gone, and the enemy's at the gates again. I'm trying not to give spoilers. It's so hard because this book is so good, and what's the best things about this book are in the spoilers. So, what I like, I love the character. The character work is amazing. Every character feels alive. They're not cardboardy. They are not your run of the mill like hero sidekick. No, they are unique. It's the kind of characters that I wish I could write. I love how they have their unique voices and personalities, and you can definitely see you can like their actions are not in favor of the plot. They are not doing things to move the plot around as if they were like on rails. Sometimes you know that they will do stupid actions that are completely in tune with their own essence and character, and you go like, don't do this, this is stupid, but it makes total sense for that character. And to have a novel where you can just predict the next action of a character and be so invested into them not making that mistake, even though you know they will make that mistake, it's not the mark, but a mark of good character design. Another thing I loved about this book is the world building, which is quite unique. It's at the same time it's observing something that feels like your high fantasy novel, but with a twist. It's like Jan Williams is showing you a high fantasy novel through a kaleidoscope and twisting the kaleidoscope, and the images go all over the place. Not all over the place as in messy, all over the place as in amazing. Because, like, the enemy, like, it's written here, like, the enemy, it's the Jurelia. They are not like your orcs or trolls or trollocs arriving at the gate. They are not the Dark Lord or anything like that. They are something I haven't seen done in any other fantasy book. It feels alien. It feels like this high fantasy is being invaded by something from science fiction. It has a bit of a horror element. It's delicious. Another thing that I want to touch about from the things I loved is that there is a maxim, basically a rule for writers, which is like show, don't tell, where you should avoid exposition. If you need to do some exposition, you should try to do that as a part of the diegetic inward happening. You shouldn't do exposition. You shouldn't use exposition as a crutch. And very often when you're doing like creative writing critiques, people go like, oh, show, don't tell, you're too much exposition, too much exposition. And this book has a ton of exposition in it. And I loved it because the exposition is done between chapters. They have these quotes, these excerpts from one of the characters' journal. So basically, Vintage, which is this explorer-like character, maintains a journal. And every now and then, you will see excerpts from that journal. And this is used to convey a lot of the world building. And it's purely exposition because she's an explorer writing a journal, like an academic journal about the world and how the world works, how the history of the world works. And you would go like, that can't work. But it does. It works brilliantly. It conveys a lot of world building in such tight space without ever feeling boring. If you were telling me like, okay, this book will have like an exposition in between chapters, I would go like, really? I would never believe it works. But it does. And it's really well done. I like this book so much that I first purchased it digitally on the Kobo. Then I got the audiobook. And then I had to have it in paper, and they were out of print here in the UK for a while. So it took me a while to get them all. So yeah, I have 3 copies of each book, and I have the paper one because I hope to, at some convention, stumble upon Jen Williams and ask her to sign it, because these books are among my favorites now. What I would like to see more, I would like to see basically more of this world. It's such a rich world. I wish the author would revisit this world beyond this trilogy. It feels so rich. And the recent book that Jen Williams released is a thriller. It's another genre. I'm intrigued by her thrillers, and she has another fantasy trilogy that she made before this one, but I don't think it's in this world. And I would like to see more in this world. And if possible, I would like to see these characters again. They are just too fantastic. Another thing that I would like to see more, basically it's called the Ninth Reign. You can think of this as the 9th cycle of this invasion. I would like to learn more about the other reigns. Maybe short stories or something else. What I would like to see more, I would like to see Ebora, which is these places where these elven-like creatures come from. I would like to see more about it in its prime, because we only meet it in its decadence. And that's also part of the beauty of these books, because we're not meeting these people in their prime, we are meeting them at their end. What are my next steps? So, I've already read this one. I'm in the middle of the second book, which is the Bitter Twins. So I need my next steps, finishing this one. And then finally getting to the Poison Song, which is the third one. So I have them all, and my next steps is basically just going through them. Another next step for me is studying them, because I like the world building and I like how this novel is presented. I like the packing of the world with exposition. I like how the characters feel alive and unique. So this is basically studying material for me because I want to be this kind of writer. This is the kind of stuff I want to do. And right now, well, I'm not up to those skills, so I kind of need I need to study and I need to practice. I should be writing, and I'm here basically just having a wonderful time reading these books. So that's it. My next steps is basically I'll first finish all this trilogy as a reader, as a fan, loving every minute, sometimes reading fast, sometimes slow, sometimes going back, but enjoying it as a fan. Then I'm gonna read it again and I'm gonna break it down as a writer and see what makes this tick so well, because it's so well built and I need to understand. And once all that's done, I'm gonna get the Ada Fantasy Trilogy, which I can't recall the name now, but it's Copper something, I think. And I'll get those as well. I know that these books were, the paper copies are not available in the US, but they're coming. I know that the Kindle versions, or the ebook versions, because maybe it's also other retailers, have just been released like this week or something. I saw Jan Williams posting on Twitter that it was available there. And that's the thing. I don't know why these books are not more well known. I don't know why they're like, this is prime material for a fandom. And I think that the fact that it was out of print and hard to get elsewhere contributed for not many people knowing it. But now it's available, at least digitally, and you should grab it. You should devour it just like I'm doing, because it's that good. And that's it. Start with the Ninth Reign. Make your own review. Share your love. If you are on the SFF Oasis Discord or the Wizardly Duo Discord and you have a review for these books, please send me a message with the link, because I would love to see your take on it. I'm trying to get and watch all the reviews about this trilogy, because I guess it's one of my favorites. So yeah, I want to see more about it. That's it for this review. I hope you enjoyed this book. I hope you grab it, and I'll see you next time.